Here.
Mr. Singer.
Here.
Mr. Hennings.
Here.
Mr. Oper.
Here. Pledge of allegiance, please. I
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Republic.
Glasses on there.
Everybody keeps saying we live in a democracy. I keep telling them, no, they're wrong. It's a republic. They want to prove it. I say, just recite the Pledge of Allegiance. It'll tell you right there.
John, I'm confused on new agenda item. We just, mine says new agenda item. We'll just skip
Mine says new agenda item also on mine.
That's okay.
1.2.
That's why he wants to retire.
Let me double check it, because I had to, oh, yes, take that out, please.
All right. And make a motion to amend the agenda, removal of new agenda item 1.2. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Neal? Mrs.
Yes.
Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Hennings?
Yes.
Mr. Oper?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna go to comment. Go ahead.
Mr. Street, had the other amendment been made to the agenda that we spoke about?
Yes, that has been removed. I think
Okay.
that's why the new agenda item got.
Sort of slipped up.
Slip came back in.
All
there.
right.
Got it.
We're
Thank you.
good, as long as we
I'm
got it.
hoping that's the only thing that's slipped back in.
Hey, if that's the worst thing we have today, we're fine. All right, comments from visitors. In order for the board to fulfill its obligation to complete the planned agenda in an effective and efficient fashion, a maximum of 30 minutes of public participation as it pertains to the school-related topics will be permitted at each meeting. Each person wishing to address the board will approach the podium and state her name, and address. If several people wish to speak, each person will be allotted 3 minutes until the total of 30 minutes is used. During that period, no person may speak twice until all who desire to speak have had the opportunity to do so. The period of public participation may be extended by a vote of the majority of the board. Anybody? Next item is going to be superintendent's report. Dr. Gleikoff.
All right, thank you, Mr. Neal. I wanted to take a couple points this evening in my superintendent's report because there's going to be an important resolution on tonight. We have tonight on the agenda, it actually is one of Mr. Street's agenda items, but certainly this is an important one for all of us. This would be the first of two resolutions that we will request the approval of new money for operating expenses from the electorate. This would be an item that would appear on the November 6th ballot, and specifically would request 6.9 mil continuous tax levy for operating expenditures. So I wanted to kind of take a couple of moments tonight just to talk a little bit about this resolution in front of you and in front of all of us here in Brooklyn. So we're pursuing this in our November ballot, the serious need. Right now, we've got funding levels, particularly from the state sources, that have been really slashed. And I'm going to go into that in just a moment. We have drastically cut expenses. We've done some things with our management of dollars and so forth. We've tried to cut expenses. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And we were hoping for continued tangible support from our electorate. We were very fortunate. Back in May, the good people of Brooklyn really helped us out with the renewal levy that we passed there, and we thank them for that. And again, this renewal levy preserved our current funding levels, so I just want to make sure that I make that clear to folks, that it kept our current operating expense or operating funding levels. And let's talk about that. So it maintained our current local revenue funding, and I emphasize local, and you're going to know why I'm doing that in a few moments. And this was information that we sent out to our voters right on our literature. It does not add frills or new programs. If you notice as we go into next year, we're not adding new frills. We may be getting some new tape, but we're not getting new frills. It does not account for future personnel increases or other academic things. So we just have to make sure that renewal was, we've done exactly what we've told our electorate we're going to do with that. So November 18 operating levy. You see the idea about continuous. And why do we use that? Why are we projecting that? Because one of the things we've heard from our electorate and from our taxpayers has been voter fatigue. We want to try to eliminate that. We've been coming back, and this is unfortunate, but it's just the where we're at right now, that we keep coming back for renewals. But we'd like to eliminate some of that. Secondly, this levy, a continuous operating levy, would account and help us allow for growth of construction. You know, before the meeting, we talked a little bit about some of the growth that's happening in Brooklyn. If we had an emergency levy, we wouldn't necessarily be able to recoup some of that growth. But now that it's an operating levy and is a continuous, we can be able to maximize that with new growth. So some of the growth that's happening in the economic development in Brooklyn, we can maximize that now and be able to extend that. This would allow for continued quality opportunities. You know, one of the things we did when we surveyed folks, they said that Brooklyn's providing a quality education. And we certainly know what those things are, but it's always good to repeat. 5-star preschool, college credit plus. You know, we had our seniors that earned over $250,000 in credits going to college. That's a tangible value. No pay-to-play extracurriculars and athletics. That's a big deal. I think we realize that we're starting to become the minority in school districts offering that.
I think we're the only ones who
Student
do, right?
technology. Many of you have pushed that. Mr. Neal's on the Board of Education Technology Committee. We want more and more tech for our students, and we've been able to do that. And so we've got some great quality education that we want to preserve and also enhance. So we're going to get the question is, why do we need this new levy? And so where the renewal levy in May maintained the local funding, it's our funding from the state that's been reduced significantly. And that's one of our significant pieces here. So state funding cuts to the Brooklyn City Schools. Let me talk a little bit about those. And there's two big areas. The elimination of the tangible personal property tax and the state foundation per pupil amount to Brooklyn City Schools. Those are two big parts that we, the state, is really hurting us with. So, state funding cut number one. What is that tangible personal property tax? We get this question a lot. And basically, you know, we go into Home Depot, we go to Lowe's, and we see all that equipment and all that stuff that's there. There's a tax. There used to be a tax on all of that equipment, all of those goods, that inventory. And school districts would receive a percentage of that prior to 2010. Well, the people around that time, the state said, you know what, we're no longer going to do that. We want to be friendly more to our businesses. Unfortunately, being friendly to business wasn't necessarily friendly to the school districts. And so what that did, in 2010, we received over $2.2 million in tangible personal property tax. Since then, we've lost over $1.5 million, and then we're going to lose an additional $748 over the next couple of years. That gives you kind of a full sense of where we are in terms of a loss. We're a budget of $17 million. That's a lot of money. That's a significant percentage. This gives you kind of in graph style. You know, in 2010 where we were, 2018 what we received, because what the state said is, even though we're going to cut it, we're going to reimburse you some money. We're going to try to make this easy on you. And so what they did is they just kept on reducing the amount. But if you realize, in just a few short years, we're going to be reduced down to zero. So they tried to make it a little bit easy on us instead of just, oh, we're going to take $2.2 million out, because no district could handle that. So state funding cut number two, the state foundation formula. If the formula is fully funded, Brooklyn would receive $3.4 million from the state. Now, the formula. The formula is some state calculus. They put in what's our ADM, which is mean how many students we have in the district, you know, what are their particular needs. They put it in the formula, and we're supposed to get money. And so the formula, in its truest form, says Brooklyn should receive $3.4 million. But wait, we're a cap district. And I think we understand what a cap is. We receive only $864,000. Well, wait, Mark, you just told me that we were supposed to receive 3.4 million. We're not getting 3.4 million. The state, through their calculus, has determined that we're capped, but we're capped quite severely. We receive approximately $650 per student, where, you know, right now, if you look at it, it should be somewhere in the funding should be close to $7,000. But here's where the real inequity comes, is that non-public schools are receiving, they're receiving over $1,200 per student. And so there's where the inequity comes. And so there's been a lot of fair funding proposals. You know that I've spoken to you about that. I've been working with our state representative on that as well. Hopefully what we would like to do is just get the same amount that the non-pubs get. Work it up to $1,209. What would that do? That would add $743,000 a year to our funding. I'll tell you what, that would be a big help, especially considering what we just showed you in losses in terms of TPP.
Question. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's approximately 611 school districts in the state of Ohio. And there used to be 26 capped districts. We're one of those.
We are one of 26 districts that are capped below the non-public.
Name a few of the ones that are with us.
That's a good, let me name a few. Rocky River, Olentangy,
Brecksville, Broadview
Solon,
Heights.
Mayfield, Brecksville, Broadview Heights. So if you start to see a theme there, these are districts that have a socioeconomic element that's a little bit different than ours.
Can you explain why we're considered a capped district? Why
We are
they
capped,
class as a
we
capped?
are seen as a capped district because of our commercial. They see that, you know, our proximity to 480 and some of our commercial real estate, we have the ability, they say, that to generate more funds locally than perhaps some other districts. You know, so that is where we get deemed as a rich district.
Was this determined before or after American Greetings left
Oh, this was determined well before.
Yeah.
about being capped?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I thought.
This has been our status for some time.
No one could ever figure out how. We still don't know why.
And
We know why, but we still can't figure out why.
Mr. Street and I have been down to Columbus. We've talked with folks at ODE as well as in the fiscal offices, and we've said, you know, where's the origin of this come? And really nobody has that explanation, but they do go to what, you know, Mrs. Barczyk brought up, and that is, I think they see us deemed as a richer district because of our commercial real estate. And so that's where it gets a little bit difficult.
If we were getting the TPP money, yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
We're
sir.
not getting it.
Does anyone here know how much we lost when American Greetings left?
I don't know what we lost. I'm not really sure. I'd have to get that figure for you.
I know there
And
was.
did they get nailed with that same TPP tax?
They wouldn't receive that.
No.
No.
I think this goes back, the formula goes back to when even Terex was operating on Clinton Road.
Right.
That far back in the 80s when Clinton Road was all jammed with all kinds of
Yeah.
industry.
That's a great point, Mr. Oper, because, yeah, it has a lot to do with some of the commercial, but also the manufacturing. Because remember what I said, it's also on some of your inventory and machinery. And there were some factories and some warehouses there that had some significant
They were-
numbers to them.
22 cents on the dollar.
And there's
Plus-
no way to appeal it, correct? Because I've been asked
No.
that. They say, why don't you just go down and tell Columbus that we're not rich?
Well, we've appealed.
That's where he's been standing in
No, but
line.
I'm just saying people ask that. So is there a way?
Here's been the appeal.
But there's no set appeal process to where, like, we could say and give them evidence. There's nothing to where we can actually go down to the state and say, fill out a form
You know,
to be to not.
the only
be,
way you appeal it is by this, and that is by changing the law.
Yes. So there's no way to go
And so
down.
we've tried to appeal it, but they basically said, you know, you got to go through the legislature.
And then we lost more when 480 came through, all the manufacturing off of,
109% sessions, all those, yeah.
So we've really tried to lobby down at the state. We've banded with those other districts, those other 26 districts. But I got to tell you, when I get in the room with them, I feel like the old Sesame Street song, you know, which one of these things does not belong? And sometimes I feel as though we're a little bit more in need than others, and maybe every superintendent feels that way. But I do feel that there's something discernibly different. And so that's why, we've been working with our local legislators really to try to get House Bill 369 passed that would give us the fair funding. But again, that's an uphill battle. We know how difficult it is to get new laws passed. So, but it's in financial committee. But I think the other question is and the other point is that we have been fiscally responsible. We have really, truly, we've seen this, the previous administration, and certainly over the last 3 years myself, really looking at this and saying, how do we do what we can with our funds? Revenues over expenses. We've been living within our means. Mr. Street just finished up the books here for FY18. And if you notice there, we're actually going to end up on the plus side. That's a big deal. We're living within the means that the people of Brooklyn have given us. It's been tight, but we've done it. And so we've tried to be as fiscally responsible with the dollars. Now, where we are in terms of expenditures, I got to show you where we are in terms of the county. We're pretty far down there. Per pupil expenditure is one of the lowest in the county here. So we're trying to be as conservative as possible on how we're expending our dollars on education. So interesting that ranges from 23,000 down to 11,600, and we're at 12,800. So we're certainly towards that lower end. Cost-cutting measures. We've done a lot of things. I mean, we're not just talking lip service here. The things that we've done over the last couple of years, going into suburban health, this is just for next year alone. We've not filled some positions in the teaching ranks. We've talked about Plug Smart, the energy savings. That's the energy savings for next year. That's pretty significant. The new copier contract. It has some savings attached to it, as I've shared with you guys. Shared service transportation. A lot of angst in outsourcing our transportation to Parma City schools. That's just a 1-year cost. I got to tell you that the long term, we can't buy a bus for $100,000. And then some of the administrative restructuring we've done. This is the administrative salaries from last year to this year. There's going to be a reduction of $34,000.
For our administrators, correct?
Yes.
$34,000.
That's savings. That's a reduction, not an
40
increase.
with the new one.
So all of that, those are the anticipated cost savings just from last year to this year. But again, we're cutting down a lot of things. That's $500,000. So you go back to that slide I showed you where the TPP, that's phasing out pretty quickly. So, the money that goes to charter schools and additional, how our maintenance costs, we want to replace parts of this roof this summer, and state and federal mandated costs, things that we have no power over. Those are things that are still there that we're going to have to be mindful of and be aware of and also pay off. So as we look into 19 and 20, that's the 5-year forecast. And so, we're looking at next year of probably an 880,000 deficit, and then 1.4 there. Those are significant deficit expenditures. We don't want to do that. That's not being as fiscally responsible as we'd like to be.
So Dr. Glykoff, a question for you. And John, if you'd chime in as well. So to get this straight, so we're going to put this on the ballot in November, and when it passes, the money that's collected, we won't see that money collected because the property taxes are in arrears.
Correct.
For at least another 6 months. So we won't even be able to realize all that money in 2019 until later in 2019. Is that correct?
So the ballot language will read somewhat like levy for 2018 for first collection in 2019.
Right.
So we will start seeing the money, if it passes, when it passes in November, we'll start seeing that money in January, February.
We will see it.
Of 19.
So
Of
we
19.
would see some in this
19.
fiscal year.
Yes, and that's really the best reason to pass something in November so that we can see it as soon as possible. Because if we don't pass it in November, then it makes it more challenging because we'll go into expenses over revenue even greater without receiving that money in 19.
Thank you.
So, what can the community expect? After the passage of this resolution today, obviously, we would need a second resolution. And we've talked about that as a Board of Education, looking at doing that probably in the next week. What they're also going to expect is a campaign that we really need to share some of these complexities and the negative realities that we have as a district from the state in terms of funding. We can expect a campaign that's include great involvement, the mailing, the literature, the signage, more that really is going to really exemplify and share with folks where our needs are and how we want to get out there. So, but, you know, stay tuned as the next few months will be big. But I thought that was important to share this evening as we get ready for this resolution, which is critical in here. So that concludes my report, Mr.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Glykoff. On to Mr. Street, the treasurer's report.
Really, Mark had everything that I would have talked about. We'll have the resolution later on in the treasurer's items.
Okay.
So I will just let Mark's information stand.
You got it.
It was good stuff.
Appreciate it. Next, we're going to go to comments from board members, board committee reports. We're going to start with Mr. Hennings.
Thank you, Mr. President. Not a whole lot to say, thank God, I guess. Just to let everybody know that sports are starting soon. It's the end of July. So if anybody's got kids out there, please feel free to get them talked into going to sports. We got football, we got soccer, volleyball. What else we got going on?
Cheerleading?
Marching band is another big thing. We got one of the best bands in the land, so feel free if you've got kids, get them signed up for band. If they're not in football or one of the sports, get them into band. Also, if anyone's out there looking for something to do and they want to get involved, once again, there's the athletic boosters, there's the PTA, and there's the music boosters. So please get involved. Everybody always wants to get involved with their kids, so this is the perfect way to get involved. Other than that, I think that's about all I got.
Perfect.
Told you quick.
You got it. On to Mrs. Barczyk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also don't have a lot to say, which is a rarity. So,
True.
yes, I hope everyone's having a great summer. I know everything around here is going like planned, and we're getting the building ready for the start of the new school year. I hope everyone has a good summer, and if anyone needs to speak with me, I can always be reached at 216-406-4304. That's all, Mr. President.
You got it. On to Mr. Sanger.
No report.
Mr. Oper?
I'll pick up the slack. We didn't have a players meeting this month, but I went out to the campus and checked on the renovation a couple weeks ago. Things are going full speed on the lab bays, and the third floor is almost finished. And then they'll start construction on the second floor. The first floor has been abated, and preliminary construction has started there. Project is still on time and under budget. With a lot of large construction projects going on in Cleveland and Cuyahoga County, something I didn't know about keeping workers on the job. The subcontracting business, like any other business, likes to get paid as soon as possible. Mr. Street can attest to that. Some of the companies are working on a bunch of different projects like the Q and some of the other renovations and buildings around town. And they'll shift workers from various projects depending on how quickly they get paid. And Polaris is paying right away after portions of the work are done and the owner's agent has signed off so the workers are not being shifted around. Also, Middleburg Heights has returned all the permit and inspection money that they would have normally collected back to Polaris, and that's an additional $415,000 that Polaris will use to buy more equipment for the labs. So that's a big thank you to Mayor Starr and City Hall.
Way to go, Middleburg Heights.
I can be reached at james.oper@bcshurricanes.org or at 216-485-8195. That's all I have.
You got it. All right, I have limited. 2 weeks ago, Saturday, we had a very good board financial meeting. We went over almost everything that Dr. Glykoff had and more. So it's very important that we get to do money and start promoting that as well, too. So we'll be knocking on some doors, putting up some signs, doing what we have to do. Technology, I believe there's some technology going around the school. There's some wires being pulled. There's going to be some cameras. There's some doors action going on. So I'm looking forward to that being part of the technology committee. And Taylor, how many did we end up, carts do we end up buying for Chromebooks?
7.
Okay,
Some of
great,
them were from special grants,
beautiful.
the government of China.
All right. All right.
We'll let Trump know that.
Hey, technology is a good thing, so. That's all I have for my report as well. Tonight's reader is gonna be Mr. Hennings.
Thank you. Be resolved, the minutes of the following Board of Education meeting be adopted, and all the action taken by the Board of Education at said meeting is hereby reaffirmed and approved. Regular meeting, June 26, 2018. Special meeting, June 29th, 2018. Special meeting, July 7th, 2018.
Can I have a motion,
So
please?
moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal? Mr.
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Oper?
Yes.
Mr. Hennings?
Yes. Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the financial statements of receipts and expenditures for the month of June 2018, including all purchase orders paid and all then and now statements for the month of June as submitted.
Can I have a motion,
So
please?
moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? Standard issue. Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal? Mr.
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Oper?
Yes.
Mr. Hennings?
Yes. Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby enters into agreement with Partners for Success and Innovation, PSI, for Title I and Special Education Support Services for the 2018-2019 school year, per the attached contract on file in the Treasurer's Office.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, I'd
Dr.
like to
Wyckoff?
comment, yeah, this is actually for, for personnel that are to be used at St. Thomas More. As the public school district, we have to provide some of the special auxiliary services like special education, counselor, psychology, and so we do that through PSI. So this is flow-through money.
And the state deems us as a fiscal agent for St. Thomas More, and so that's why it comes through us and goes to them.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal? Mr.
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Oper?
Yes.
Mr. Hennings?
Yes. Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby enters into agreement with Holly Andrus for preparation of visually impaired materials for a student for the 2018-2019 school year, not to exceed 20 hours at a rate of $25 per hour.
Can I have a motion,
So
please? Second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, it's some routine preparation of materials for a student. It's specialized.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Oper?
Yes.
Mr. Hennings?
Yes. Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the employment of the following individuals to perform summer cleaning for 5 hours per day, not to exceed 50 days. Mary Ellen Sefchak, effective July 13th, 2018. Katie Kushler, effective July 19th, 2018. Evelina Lazar, effective July 30th, 2018.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Just needing some additional help as we get closer to school, so.
Anybody else? Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Oper?
Yes.
Mr. Hennings?
Yes. Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the employment of the following CATS employee for the 2018-2019 school year. Mary Matejka, Matika, CATS preschool classroom assistant, $13 per hour, 28 hours per week, with up to 9 additional hours per week.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Just a replacement for a resignation of a previous CATS classroom assistant.
Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Street, can you call the roll?
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal? Mr.
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Oper?
Yes.
Mr. Hennings?
Yes. Resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the following resignation. Lori Bobencheck, effective July 31st, 2018.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, this is a tough one, Lori, and I will commend her in just a moment, but as she's pursued another opportunity in Berea City Schools, she's resigning her position here as of the end of the month. So,
Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal? Mr.
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Mr. Henning?
Yes. The Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby commends Lori Bobencheck for her 20 years of service to the students of Brooklyn.
Can I have a motion, please?
moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
yeah,
luck.
Enjoy your new endeavor.
Lori's worked in this district for 20 years, and she's gone from, special education teacher to student services, director of student services, and director of PD and assessment. So she's done a variety of things, put a lot of time, energy, and good work into our school district. So want to thank her. It's a tough loss, but I wish her well in her new experience.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Mr. Hennings?
Yes. Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the following classified resignation. Margaret Vassi, classroom assistant, effective July 2nd, 2018.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Just standard. Unfortunately, she was just getting into that role and doing well, and just had to resign it.
Okay. Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Mr. Hennings?
Yes. Be resolved that the Brooklyn Board of Education hereby approves the following new administrative job description: assistant superintendent.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yes, so certainly with the resignation of Lori Bobencheck, that created a void in our administrative piece. So one of the things that I came to you as the Board of Education is I said I would like to kind of expand that role. The role was very narrow focused in terms of just curriculum. I was hoping to bring on an administrator who would also be able to support the district with some of the other things were happening, also HR functions, human resources, as well as district leadership pieces as we get into and a lot of the moving parts that we're talking about here. So that was why I proposed replacing that position with an assistant superintendent. Hence the changes in that job description give it more of a district-wide operations as well as curricular focus. So
Anybody else?
And it's less money and a bigger workload.
we are bringing the person in at less pay than what we were paying Mrs. Bobencheck. That is
Okay.
correct. And it is a wider responsibilities. There's no question, Mr. Hennings.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Anybody else? Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal? Mr.
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Mr. Hennings?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, down here. But there's nothing underneath.
I
Yeah.
think you might be on the top.
Yeah. Resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves employment of the following administrative person: Michelle Marakovich Kalish, Assistant Superintendent, August 1st, 2018 to July 31st, 2021. Salary as per the attached contract.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
So you were able to meet Mrs. Marakovich Kalish here earlier today. Just let me kind of rewind. When I posted the position, I had close to 30 applicants. Interviewed probably about 6 different folks for the position. Wide-ranging applicants from sitting superintendents to building principals. Narrowed it down, and really once I started talking to references for particular candidates, this candidate really kind of rose to the top. Tell you a little bit about Mrs. Marakovich. She is currently now the superintendent in Newberry City Schools, local schools, which is out in Geauga County. She was interested in this position because of the fact that Newberry right now might be looking into consolidation. And so, you know, it's not like she's running from something. It could be the fact that, you know, her district could be consolidated. But she's got great experiences in terms of curricular background. She's done some really innovative things in Newberry, bringing in some, you know, some STEM ideas and so forth, which I thought was intriguing. She was also a building principal. She was the high school principal at Newberry before taking on that role. And she's been in that role, just so you know, for about 2.5 years. Also was with Nordonia Schools as well as Mayfield Schools. So really has got some wealth of experience that I think can be really be helpful for us. We're going into a levy cycle, so certainly somebody who has experiences with that. But the curricular pieces, as well as the district-wide leadership. So I think she's a great candidate, and I hope for your support on her approval tonight.
She will answer to you, correct?
She will. She will report to me.
Anybody else? Mr. Street, will you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal? Mr.
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Oper?
Yes.
Mr. Henning?
Yes. Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the following staff member to work with students in the extended school year program. Patty who?
Patricia.
Patricia Gaddy. Oh, Patty. All right. Patricia Gaddy, classroom assistant, up to but not to exceed 24 hours from July 10th to July 19th, 2018, at a rate of $12.97 per hour.
Can I have a motion,
So
please?
moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Thank you, Mrs. Gaddy. As we had a resignation earlier, it was nice to be able to have somebody come right in and be able to fill in there. So thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Patricia.
Anybody else?
Patricia.
Patricia.
Mr. Street, can you call the roll before she gets harassed too long?
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Oper?
Yes.
Mr. Henning?
Yes. She thinks he's free, but she's not really free. Resolve that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education approve the attached resolution requesting the county fiscal officer to certify the valuation and dollar amount for a 6.9 mil current expense continuing levy for the November 6, 2018 ballot.
Can I have a motion,
So moved.
please? Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? Anybody want to step in here? John, Dr.
Well, I
Glykoff?
think that, you know, my superintendent's report kind of framed the need for this resolution.
Yep.
You know, certainly that. I don't want to trump the treasurer, but I think there's need for that. Our renewal levy did just that. It renewed our current system, our current funding, but the state cuts really are where we're struggling, and we can't outrun that.
So this resolution, and I'll read off this piece of paper. So a resolution declaring it necessary to levy an additional tax for the purpose of current expenses and requesting the Cuyahoga County Fiscal Officer to certify the total dollar amount of revenue, the total current valuation of the school district and the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated by that additional levy. So what that means is this first resolution, I will submit this to the county fiscal officer, and he will certify the valuation of the district, which should be around $300 million. And then they will also certify what 6.9 mils will bring the district in revenue. And so I will bring that back to you folks next Monday night at that board meeting. And then I will have a resolution for you at that time, after you see the dollar amount and the valuation, whether you want to proceed with putting the current expense levy on the ballot on November 6th. We have two resolutions to pass. This is the first of those two. As Dr. Glykoff alluded to earlier, to prevent voter fatigue, as we discussed at one of our work sessions, this will be a continuing levy. The levies in the past have been for emergency levies and for a 5-year period of time. So what that means is that we have to come back every 5 years and renew those levies. And it's very difficult for voters to understand that it's just a renewal versus new money. So really, anytime they see something on the ballot, it's, gosh, are you guys asking for more money again? So to try to prevent voter fatigue from seeing issues on the ballot all the time, we had talked about at our work session to go for a continuing period of time, and then also a current expense levy, which will generate, as Dr. Glykoff said, when any new construction comes into the district, like the hotel that's going to go in on Tiedemann, some of the other things that are, some of the other businesses that are coming into the district, this levy will allow growth from that new construction, where an emergency levy did not allow growth. It was just capped at a specific dollar amount. And there's a number of projects that we've heard about that are coming to the district, so that should be very helpful to have that money generated from those businesses to add additional revenue into the district to help us get past, say, 5 or 6 years before we would have to come back in the future for new money. We would try to extend it out as long as we can. Most districts have to come back within a 5-year period of time. It's just the way school funding works. But we hope to extend this out as long as we can.
Mr. Street, question, correct me if I'm wrong, the continuous levy money can be used for,
Anything.
thank you,
So that could,
permanent improvement money that we lost last fall, spring, whatever it was,
yes,
that can be used.
yes.
This continuous money can replace that as well, too, correct?
Yes,
What could we use this money on?
Anything,
Anything,
yep,
Re-
anything.
Repairs of the school,
Anything at all.
correct,
anything.
From,
technology.
correct.
yes,
Salaries, whatever,
salaries,
everything.
benefits,
With the permanent improvement
purchase
money, we're
service.
limited to anything to 5-year
Yep.
building, buses, that kind of stuff. So,
anything at all.
all right. Anybody else?
I have a question. I think I asked at the meeting. I don't know if the county got back to you, John, or not, but currently, what percentage of the property taxes that are paid by businesses versus residences?
Yes, I did not get that accomplished yet to give you that answer.
Okay. Any way to know what the projections with all the new construction projected, will that percentage change? With growth, I would think that the percentage of businesses
Yes,
paying the taxes would farly exceed what the residences are paying. Would you make that assumption?
yes, because, as far as I know, and anybody can correct me, but Brooklyn is pretty landlocked, and there's not a lot of vacant land for home construction, is that correct?
You're probably close.
So with the construction of businesses, that would weigh to the side of the percentages going higher on commercial industrial properties versus residential.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'd like to encourage all the residents, if you have any questions, if you want to know anything more about the levy, if you have any questions about the TPP, the tangible property tax, and the amount of money we lost, and why we need this levy, if you would contact one of the board members, Dr. Glykoff, Mr. Street, it would really, we'd like to speak with anyone who's, so that we can make all the correct statements before anything goes around that is incorrect, so you hear it right from the source. So please call us. We would love to hear from you.
Yep, absolutely. Anybody else? Mr. Street, can you call that roll, please?
Mrs. Burcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Mr. Hennings?
Yes.
All right, resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education enter into executive session for the purchase of property of public purpose or the sale of property at a competitive bidding and preparing for, conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with employees and for the purpose of appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of employee or public official pursuant to RC 121.22G. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All right. Mr. Street, can you call the roll?
Mrs. Burcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Mr. Hennings?
Yes.
What's that?
No, I just wondered if we had to turn this back in, or do we hold on to it?
You hold on to it.
Okay.
We're gonna go into executive session. It is 6:46. That's first. That early?